Hi, my name is Adele Midroy, and I'm going to be talking to you on reasons why I think United States education system is failing. First, let's talk about education. What is education? Education to everyone means different things. It's just the concept of learning or acquiring knowledge. There is to be no direct system of how education should be processed to the population. Education is the process of learning a range of skill sets that will apply to individuals who use what they learn in their daily lives. The place of education is school. An education system should allow and understand that education comes from learning and learning comes from all aspects of life. There is an idea of formal education and how it is socially accepted to maintain that in our mental being. The only way for education should be, although there is what we call informal education as well. Informal and formal education is needed to learn and adapt in life. We do not go every day solving math problem, but we also don't go every day trying to start a fire with sticks and stones. So it depends on how you want to view it. But education is just a form of, acquiring knowledge, either formal education, informal education, whichever the case may be. Education is very, very important. The limitation of true education. Everyone should understand that education is not a system or a specific way it should be governed. Education is just the process of learning to acknowledge or acquire a skill set and improve on that specific skill set. The limitations set on United States education don't allow the students to be human. The system solely depends on the memorization and test results from students. Memorization is only a small portion of the brain that is utilized and doesn't enable, people to just be themselves. It doesn't grow their logic, judgment, concentration, or interpretation skills. In fact, with how the education dissects intelligence and the progress of an individual student only allows for them to activate their temporal lobe that deals with memory, hearing, and organization, and then public speaking as well. Although there are classes that allow students to utilize the different parts of their brain, they still find it only useful for tests since that dictates their success. In this case, the education system programs students to only activate their temporal lobe while learning because most students are just, reading to pass, just learning to get good grades. Just we gotta just read for exams, just learn to get good grades. So we're gonna talk about the diverse learning styles. Learning styles are new among the education system, science, and psychology. There has only been a couple of decades of research of learning styles and the approach to maximize the intellectual capacity. Different concepts and activities have been accepted with different learning styles to increase the likelihood of obtaining knowledge easier, faster, and keeping more information in. A few of the main learning styles are well known in education and are the kinesthetic, visual, verbal, and auditory. However, there are 30 or more known learning styles to have been discovered, but not yet completely studied. With these different learning styles can create a complexity of the way an individual can learn instead of drowning, in a stagnant education system. United States education process is of the past. There's not been a review in a while. It has just been just just read and pass. There's really no trying to make students learn or develop themselves independently. They have a all grades kind of have a particular syllabus that they have to follow, and sometimes they even have standardized tests that students just have to take. And once you take those standardized tests and you do well in those tests, you move on to the next. But that necessarily doesn't mean you actually know the course or know the subject or assimilate the subject matter. The United States education system is outdated. It's almost, if not older than when slavery ended. The system was built on testing, and Oracle men exposed that idea with the option of using oral examination. Now, with current technology, creative ideas, and the knowledge of nailing styles, the education took no step into changing the way they approach, you know, the way they approach how students should acquire knowledge or get information within the system. A good example is the current COVID-19 reforms on our education systems. The education system is so stagnant, or is so fixed that it couldn't even accommodate, COVID. When COVID hit, they had to almost immediately start making students go back to the classroom so that they can go back to, the normal formal way of making students acquire knowledge. Resident student leave school system. As many people know, in the last few years, especially after COVID, a lot of people have dropped out of school, not only from college but from high school as well. Some are finding new areas to explore where the education system had told them they needed a degree. And the truth about America is you don't necessarily need a degree to earn money. You need experience. So if education is not as fun as it should be, a lot of students, a lot of people would not, stay in school to learn, because they just prefer to go take some certifications. It's shorter, is cheaper, and if you're good at what you're doing, you'll make money. I'm originally from Nigeria. We believe in education. I have a bachelor's in education. I have a master's in business administration. And then when COVID hit, I was laid off from work. And then myself and my husband had to sit down and, we kind of re-strategize on what we should do. And we came up with the idea of me going back to school to, study nursing, because we know healthcare never goes outdated. Like they would all you would you will healthcare professionals are always needed. So that is the reason why I am back in school, to at least leverage on that and see, should anything happen again, should we have another COVID hit or something close to COVID, I would not necessarily be affected. But not a lot of people, especially Americans, will reason the way I, or the way me and my husband reason, because American, the system is built in a way where you don't even need education to be rich. You don't need education to be rich. All you need is good work experience. And if you know what you're doing, you would pay your bills and make good money. So how then do we, make education fun for people to actually, want to go to school when everything is still the same as it is back in those days? So I kind of think it is getting outdated. I think there need to be reforms, new opportunities. I imagine where the reasons to go to college is becoming obsolete, when there are no reason to consider it. Apart from it being expensive, it takes away, it takes away a lot of time, and sometimes it could be longer than you just, getting a certification, a 2 week, 3 week certification, and then boom, land you a good job, and grow from there. I'm going to talk a little bit about Finland education system. Finland is one of the highest rated education systems and results on an international scale. The system they implement is completely different from those in the Western culture, and some countries have been able to mimic their style. A few of the core principles within their system are the following: resource for those who need them the most, high standard and support for special needs, qualified teachers, evaluation of education, balancing decentralization and centralization. With this being said, Finland tends to touch on those who really need the education and where the education needs to be dispersed. So every student is well educated on all levels, on all levels, having no child left behind. Sometimes in the mid 1970s, Finland created a new reform in order to equalize education opportunity by eliminating the practice of separating students and classifying them based on their test scores, and eliminating the large number of examinations. On some occasions, they do implement assessments to understand the progress of their student for moving on to specific classification. They do their best to employ highly, qualified individuals, even in lower levels in education, and apply tactics that enable students to explore and research in and for their curriculums. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about some solutions that I think the United States can, imbibe in what we have right now. School systems such as Finland have created a system that has worked for them. We can kind of learn or, borrow some ideas from them. In the United States, as of right now, continuous has continuously been exposed to having poor education process and outdated information. Some information has been excluded due to political or social reform. This will only create more stagnant culture within the system. Students not wanting to learn, not having to learn, or given misleading information, and teachers being underpaid, understaffed, and undereducated in a way to teach students are the ways of dispersing the needed knowledge. Students are humans, not only students. United States had the perfect chance to create reform in the education system using new technologies and studies. We can implement that knowledge into schools that can be applied to our daily life problem, such as tax. We can follow Finland reform of limiting tests or creating a way to progress education than to categorize intellect with education while also knowing the different learning languages. We can create new learning pathways and methods that may increase the intellectual capacity of ongoing generation. So I believe with these few points, I've been able to make you understand that education is not supposed to be fixed. It's supposed to be as diverse as possible because we have different people, we have different learning styles, we have different people, different personalities. So it should be as open-ended as possible. Thank you.